We're recording. This is episode 4 of Hey Dad, it's Neptune.
Please be advised, the main theme of this podcast is death of a father. This topic will be approached with humour. You're in safe hands. I'm a professional.
First things first, Dad. Happy joint birthday. Happy joint birthday. Take it. How do you not know the words to this song that I just made up? Are you at least going to blow out the candle? No. Got to do everything myself around here. Ridiculous. It's almost like I'm alone by myself in my apartment. Can't believe it. Daisy's here, you're here, I'm here. Podcast time, Dad. Let's do it. Happy joint birthday to us. Now, you might be saying, oh, but sweet, I'm on the 22nd. You're on the 24th. Not exactly a joint birthday. Okay, first of all, ridiculous. Negativity. I'm sick of it, Dad. You're bringing a lot of negative vibes to the podcast today. Too much cattiness. I need you to reel it back. It's a lot of attitude, a lot of lip. I don't want to hear it. Okay? Second of all, I do think that we should have had a joint birthday party at some point. Why didn't we? Speak for yourself. Ugh, ridiculous. I kind of have a couple of suggestions as to why. I think potentially you kind of felt like birthday parties were for kids. You know, you're a grown up, you're a big adult man, you're macho man. Maybe it was sort of a sense of like masculinity and maleness to sort of be like, you're a big man now, you don't need a birthday party. The kids want birthday parties, but not you. I'm a big man. I'm a big strong man. No birthday party for me. I'm an adult, right? Potentially. On a sadder side of that, and a similar vein, due to the fact that your dad passed away when you were really young, I believe 13, which is so young, and you were like the only boy. I think you have 3 sisters. I actually don't know anything about you. Dad, who are you? You're a stranger to me. Speak up. Okay? But I think that your dad passed away when you were 13 or like equally quite young. And potentially because of cultural stuff, you felt a need to like step up and be the man of the house as a child for your mother and your sisters. And I think that potentially that, and also growing up in apartheid South Africa, wasn't like fun times. And so potentially there's like trauma there to do with like feeling as though you need to be a big strong man for like a particular reason, not just like general gender trauma, because I would say that growing up as any gender is like its own trauma. The gender boxes are very small and they're harmful. So, you know, there's that element of things. On a very much more generous note, potentially you didn't want to like outshine me as the parent. You didn't want to like take something from me, a birthday party, and make it about you. Now, I don't know you that well to really say, like, if it is kind of this generous reading of you, or if it is this kind of sadder, kind of, masculine, like, I shouldn't want a birthday party that's for like little kids and women, I guess. Fellas, is it gay to have a birthday party? Maybe. But yeah, maybe there was this sense that, you didn't really want to like be part of it for some kind of like generous sort of, it's my kid, I want to outshine them, which is very funny, Dad. You could never outshine me. I'm the star. Hello, I get money. I'm a star. Star. You don't know that one, Dad. There's a lot of stuff you've missed. You've missed that song by Megan Thee Stallion. You've missed Brat. Hello, it's a Brat Winter. Get into it, Dad. You've missed Inside Out 2. I didn't watch it, but I heard it was good, and it's all over my Instagram. And oh my god, you missed like 4 Taylor Swift albums. Get into that, Dad. Dad, do you like Taylor Swift? I I haven't even really considered this, but potentially you might have. I mean, you like reggae, and that's like protest songs, that's like storytelling. Potentially there could be like a little bit of crossover. I'm waiting for the Taylor Swift reggae album for sure. Taylor Swift reggae album is in my 2025 bingo. That would be absolutely bonkers, but I would absolutely listen to it. I'd have to check it out. I'd have to check it out. Personally, look, if you're asking me, Dad, I know you didn't, but you should have asked me. Okay, I think that she should do a rock album, like an honest to goodness rock album. I think it's great when she does like a little bit of like a slightly pop rock thing. I want a rock album. Oh my goodness, please. I just feel like her voice and her style is so emo, it's so pop punk, and I'm like, I don't know why she doesn't do like a whiny rock album, like an alt rock kind of emo pop punk vibe. I think she could just devour and demolish, and like I want to hear it. But also, she's not like my puppet. She's gonna do whatever she's gonna do. But like, if for some reason some kind of Taylor Swift assistant is watching this video, I would love her to do a rock album. That'd be so sick. Yes. But yeah, I'm a fan. I'm like a casual fan. I'm not interested in finding out like her blood type, for example. Um, and I'm not like super interested in. I don't really want to know like who the songs are about. I don't really want to know too much about her personal life. I'm just like a fan of the songs, and I don't want to know too much about like what she intended in writing them, because I feel like that doesn't really allow me as the audience to like put in my own meaning and to like relate it to my own life. That's just me personally. I kind of feel like once an artist puts something out into the world, it doesn't really belong to them anymore, which is maybe why sometimes I feel kind of weird recording this podcast, because I'm just like, I don't know who's going to find it. I don't know what they're going to think. I don't know what they're going to say. And it's like, it kind of weighs on my brain to be like, should I be curating this more and editing this more and taking this out and that? And I do edit it and I take things out. It's usually like ums and ahs, but like there is a sense of, no matter what I intend and no matter how much I try to speak clearly, I could very much be misinterpreted and stuff like that. But I think the problem is misinterpreting something and then taking that to the person, like having an issue with them. That I don't get. That I don't understand. I don't want to interact with someone and be like, you should do X, Y, and Z. Actually, update on the HASANABI Twitch situation, Dad. I've actually stopped watching him live because I realize that it stresses me out, because like I kind of want to contribute, but then I second guess, and then I'm like, I don't know how this is going to come across. I don't know how I'm going to seem. So I just don't. I don't write in the chat anymore. To be honest, in the chat I was just writing like ha 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 ha, ha. Like I was just doing like emojis or doing like ha-has and laughs and stuff. I wasn't like trying to be like, Hassan, look at me, I have something to say, because that like stresses me out. I don't know. The fact that text-based communication is toneless, and like I'm talking to this stranger and I'm like, I don't know if he's going to interpret what I say the way I mean, but also it moves so fast. By the time that like I think of like a joke, a thought, whatever, like, and I go to the chat and I type it in and I press enter, the subject is already like moved on. Like I'm too late. I'm not quick enough. I don't know how people do it quick enough. I don't know how they do it. They must like sit there like with their fingers over the keyboard. I don't know how they like jump in so quick. I can't do it. It like terrifies me. So I've kind of like weaned off that a little bit. I'm mostly just watching the podcast. That's like my little Hassan update. I also look, Dad. Look, Dad, I'm sure you want to know about like my current crush. I'm sure this is so interesting for you as my father, talking about the boys that I want to suck and fuck, okay? But my interest, my my interest, let's just leave it at interest. My interest in Hassan Piker has sort of bled into Will Neff, who is like his, I think, best friend, and he's like on the podcast with Hassan. And also Austin Show and QT Cinderella are there from time to time. There's not always all of them there. It's a whatever. The point is, I've watched enough with Will Neff to sort of be like, why he kind of Dad, what can I say? I am powerless to literally some guy. I'm powerless. That you put some guy in front of me and my like testosterone riddled faggot brain is like, oh my god, must have. Can have, please give. Want to have, please give. Want so bad, want so bad. The thing about Will Neff, I don't know this man. Let me preface this by saying I do not know Will Neff. I do not attest to knowing Will Neff. However, if I'm just speaking from what I have personally absorbed from watching many, many episodes of this podcast and seeing slivers of this man, I think that he could match my freak. I think that Will Neff could match my freak, and I'm concerned that if someone actually matched my freak, we would kill each other. In past entanglements and current entanglements, I am usually way more up for it than the other person. And I think that that's good because I think that I am too insane to be like, I need someone who's like a little bit more tame than me and like has a slightly lower appetite than me, because I think if someone genuinely matched my freak, I think we would both die. Like I think we would push each other a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, and we'd get to a point where we're just stabbing each other, like just for fun. We're just stabbing each other, like no impulse control, just like stabbing with actual knives, and then we're both dead because I'm like, that would be sexy. And this person is like, yes, and I need someone who's like just a little bit, they can't quite match my freak, because that's the zone of like, we both survive the hookup. I worry that someone that can actually go band for band, like, that's violence. That's violence that results in death. And you would know all, and you would know all about death, wouldn't you, Dad? What with being the residential dead person on the podcast. Absolutely. So the update is crush on Hassan Piker over, new crush on Will Neff. However, I think if I was actually to get with someone that was like that, and I don't know him, this is just like an assumption that I've made based on minimal information. But I think if I was to get with someone like him, I think that would be a death situation for both of us. I genuinely think that's like a problem. I'm too violent and too sexual, and I just like, I want to like one up it every time. And just the kinds of things that he's talked about, like going down on people in a pool. So he's like holding his breath and he's like, isn't that kind of hot? Because they're like, oh, is Will gonna die? And I'm like, that is hot. Is Will gonna die? Like, I'm like, don't talk to me, William. Don't look at me, okay? Because you're giving me ideas and I'm going, yes, and. I'm not going, that's dangerous. I'm not going, oh my God, Will, don't put yourself in danger. I'm going, I want to be in danger too. That sounds hot. I'm like, we should, like, do you have a drowning kink, Will? I'm interested. Tell me more about that. Like, I can't. No one can match my freak, and for medical reasons, they shouldn't. But look, back to the birthday stuff, Dad. It's our joint birthday, okay? And I'm wearing the hat, obviously. Just to full disclosure, I didn't make this hat for you and for our birthday in 2024. I made this hat several years ago for my best friend Lou Sebiel's cat's birthday, obviously. The cat's birthday, her name's Frank. The cat, she was born in December, so it's really great to have something to celebrate in December. Like, nothing really happens in December. Nothing's really, like, going on. You know what I mean? No, like, events or anything. So it's nice to have something to celebrate in December. It's just really fun. So obviously we have Frank's birth to celebrate, the one and only Frank. We love her to bits. I love her. She's amazing. I'm obsessed with her. Like, in love with her. In love with her. She could scratch me square across the face, and she's tried to, and I would still love her to bits. Okay? She's amazing. I'm obsessed. Big fan. Big fan of Frank. So I made this hat. I made this one for me. Oh, the bow's there. There's the bow. There we go. Bow's there. I made this one for me. I made one for Lou Sebiel, and I made one for Frank, of course. Made one for all three of us. And I went over to Lou Sebiel's place and celebrated their cat's birthday. And then I've celebrated every year since. Why wouldn't I? That's Frank's birthday. That's important stuff. Okay, I love her. She's my favorite. Duh. So I thought I would wear this because this is like my birthday hat that I wear for birthdays. So here I am wearing it for you, Dad. What do you think? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Still no joint birthday party. Although I'm just realizing that I think you were cremated. So I'm wondering if I could get like a little bit of your ashes and then we could have a joint birthday party. What do you think? Now, I'm thinking we're both autistic, so we should do a theme that we both like. And I'm thinking dinosaurs. Dinosaurs, love dinosaurs, right? We could do dinosaurs, and we could do like dinosaur cupcakes, and we could do like dinosaur shaped food. Like I could make cookies that are like in the shape of a dinosaur. I could make like hash browns in the shape of a dinosaur. I think you can buy like dinosaur nuggets and stuff, like shape of. So I think maybe I could just do that. I don't have to make them necessarily. But I do dinosaur shaped food. I do dinosaur dress code. So you either come dress up as a dinosaur or you have a dinosaur on your outfit. You know? Yes. I also love that I'm like planning all this and I absolutely will not execute it. I do not want to plan a birthday party. I don't want to plan any party. I don't want to do that. I'm doing a gig this year on my birthday. I'm doing a gig this Saturday on my birthday. I'm doing a gig because it's kind of a throwback because there was like 4 years there, 2014, 15, 16, 17, where I was in Edinburgh doing the Fringe for my birthday because the Edinburgh Fringe is August. Do you know that, Dad? Now you do. So the Edinburgh Fringe is all of August. And so 2014, 15, 16, 17, I was in Edinburgh all of August doing the Fringe. And so there was a point I remember thinking like, am I going to have every single birthday at the Edinburgh Fringe? Can you believe that, Dad? Dad, can you believe it? Because I genuinely thought that I would be performing for the rest of my life. Like I could perform it, I could have the money, I would have the energy, I could think of a new show every year. I would be like doing it every single year. I genuinely thought that. This is being in your 20s, baby. I genuinely thought that I would have the money, the energy, the resources, the ideas to do a new show every year and tour it, not just around Australia in like the first half of the year, but then go to Edinburgh, which costs like $5,000 to $7,000, or it used to back then. I don't know what it costs now. Maybe it costs way more now, but it's like expensive. And so I don't know why I thought I could do that or I would do that, but I genuinely was like, I guess every birthday now is going to be in Edinburgh. All right. And so while I was in Edinburgh for those years, I was just like, hey, my birthday is in the last week of the festival. People have already done 3 weeks straight of doing their show. Some people do like more than one show a day. Like they do like different shows. In 2016, I did 2 different shows every single day. So they're performing their show. They're maybe doing the occasional like interview, phone interview, radio interview, whatever. They're doing like emails. They're trying to get like press in. They're trying to get agents in, industry in. They're trying to get just audience in, just flyering, trying to get people to come to the show. They're doing lineup shows. Like these are all things that I did, right? And so I'm like, I'm aware that by that third week, it's just like, whew. So generally speaking, I wasn't like asking people to like come and be part of a party. I just think that's like a bit much. And I also, generally assume that no one wants to hang out with me ever because of the autism and because of being constantly bullied my whole life. And also now I've chosen a field being performance and like kind of more specifically comedy in which pretty much everyone is either lovely but so incredibly busy and hardworking that they genuinely don't have the time to spend with me, and it's not like a slight. They're just very busy and like very lovely. There's either that or there's people that are genuine heartless dicks that like they would never consider trying to make friends with anyone else in the industry. Like they're like, why would I ever get to know any of these pathetic losers? Like I'm better than them, basically. So, it's not like a great ground for trying to make like long lasting friendships that are like genuinely emotionally close. There's just not enough time. There's not enough time. And it's not like, yeah, it's just not possible really. So I just kind of accepted that, to be honest. But yeah, because of my trauma, I just like don't really ask people to come to things like birthday parties because I'm like, they don't want to come, obviously. Why would they want to come to my birthday party? They don't like me. No one likes me. So, ugh, trauma. So I just never assume people want to hang out and all that kind of stuff. Yap, yap, yap. Who cares? The point is that what I would generally do is just ask people to come to my show on my birthday. Like if they hadn't been to it yet, come on my birthday, please. And then we can like hang out a little bit afterwards, or we can go to another show afterwards, or whatever. But yeah, I just thought that was going to be my whole life. And then I moved back to Australia and I haven't been able to afford to go back to the Edinburgh Fringe. The first 2 years I did it, I was like flying from Australia just for the Fringe. I mean, it's a whole month of shows. Just for the Fringe sounds a bit dismissive. But yeah, I was like flying to Australia doing the Fringe. And then I would try and do like a little bit of traveling before I came back because it's pretty far. And then 2016, I moved over there and I was there for 2 years, but I wasn't there long enough to do the Fringe. 2018. That's when I moved back to Australia. So these are things you don't know, Dad. You don't know a lot about me, okay? I was living in the UK for 2 years. Thoughts? I actually don't know if I told you that, like, specifically. I think I did. I don't know. I don't know you, Dad. We don't know each other, okay? That's why we're doing the podcast, all right? So that's what we're here for, okay? Whatever. But also, like, as a little kid, like when I was like primary school age, I think it was pretty easy for me to think that I had friends because I think it's pretty easy to just assume that, like, if people are nice to me, they're my friend. And so I would just want to invite those people to my party. And then my mother would swoop in and be like, well, did they invite you to their party? Are you sure they're really your friend? Maybe they don't like you. Maybe no one likes you. Maybe they're not safe people. And she would just like weasel her way into every relationship that I tried to form and just try and like find cracks in it so that I would stop spending time with those people. Awful, horrible, terrible human being. I remember once, actually, Dad, I found that she didn't send like some letters to a friend. When we moved from the Oberon house after you and her split up, when we moved from the Oberon house to the Bathurst house, and it was just myself, my mother, and my sibling then, you were not there. Newsflash. But at that point, there was a friend that I was trying to write letters to that I still had in Oberon, and I was trying to write letters to her, and then my mother stopped sending the letters. And I was like, I wonder why she hasn't written back. And then I found them. And I should have like confronted her, but I was like, oh, maybe she was right. She like the way she just had her claws in my brain. It's really disgusting. She's such a bad person. Not because she's a woman, but because she's manipulative and horrible. Okay? I can name 5 women right now. I'll name 5 women. Frida Kahlo, Kamala Harris, Charlie XCX, Chapel Roan, Sabrina Carpenter. That's 5 women. Okay. I care about women. I'm not a misogynist. I'm an ally to the women community. Ally, okay? This is my best friend, Valentina. She's an ally. I'm an ally, okay? This is my best friend, Neptune. They're an ally.
This podcast is brought to you by me. You know the drill. Any updates about lineup shows, that is me doing like 10 minutes of comedy and other people performing as well. Generally speaking, updates about those are on Instagram, specifically my Instagram story. I am part of something called Temple of Desire in October. That is the 4th and 5th of October. It is a theatre dance piece exploring Indian folklore through classical Indian dance, and also delving into gender, desire, and spirituality. I play a sort of omni-deity. It's very exciting, very cool. And any updates about any like solo works or other works I'm doing, generally speaking, are on my website or social media in terms of like touring and like brand new show type of thing. I also have my novellas. We have Where the Pink Meets the Blue, Businessman Yowie with Feelings, Under a Summer Sky in January, Sapphic Teen Love Triangle. We used to hold hands all the time, Love Story of Childhood Friends Reunited. We have the bundle. If you want to get all 3, that's a signed bundle for Australia only. We never get exclusive stuff. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast in its early days. If you have any feedback, I would really appreciate a comment, probably on YouTube, best place to do that. And in the meantime, let's get back to the podcast. RIP to my father.
What am I talking about? The point is, when I was in primary school, I think it was kind of easy to be like, I want to have birthday parties and be like the other kids. I want to invite the kids that are nice to me and not the ones that bully me. Why would I invite them? And then in high school, it became a bit more complicated because, like, you know, I was kind of being bounced from different groups all around. I didn't really have a group that like accepted me really. I would be in one group for a little while and then they would just all stop talking to me out of nowhere. And I didn't know why, because I'm autistic and I obviously did something to upset them, but they didn't want to talk to me about it. And that still happens to this day, Dad. Nothing pisses me off more than like, if we have an issue, let's just talk about it and squash the beef. Why are people obsessed with like, they either want to be like, no, it's fine. And it's like, it's not fine. I'm not fine. I want to talk about it with you. I want to clear the air. There's a lot of people that don't bring things to me. They just stop talking to me, which I'm like, that's insane. That's it. How am I supposed to know that I did something bad if you just stop talking to me? Like, I've been like in the middle of conversations with people and they've just stopped replying. And I'm like, huh? And then they never like bring it up. They never say to me like, oh, that made me uncomfortable, by the way. Like, I don't want to talk about that kind of stuff with you. Okay, like, I won't bring it up then. Why don't you communicate? And this is the thing, like, allistics love to act like autistics are so bad at communication, but whenever there's an issue, they're the first to be like, I don't want to talk about this. Which, Dad, that's some you shit. That's some fucking you shit, okay? You are autistic, but you are very conflict averse. Thoughts? You are, okay? Because you, like, whenever there was an issue, you would either want to, like, laugh it off, joke it off, or you'd want to just start yelling like it's some kind of dick measuring contest. Like, if you're yelling and rah, 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 then, like, no one else can say anything and you're right and it's over. That's still being conflict averse because you're not actually getting to the root of the problem. That's my thing. That's my issue with these fucking people, is like, why don't you want to get to the root of the problem? If you have a problem with me, I want to get to the root of the problem. Actually, recent great example of this, me like wanting to get to the bottom of stuff, I got scouted to write this article, right? So I write it, I send it off, and then they have like editor's notes for me. Okay, sure. So I check out the editor's notes, and 90% of them were like, take out all these commas, which is like a lot of commas. I use a lot of commas. It's like a feature of my writing. And so I'm just like, no, this is part of my style. And I find another one because there's so many, and I'm like, no, this is like something where I add rhythm and pacing through punctuation. I've come from the stage. This is how I do it in prose. And there's like another thing where I'm like, this is me communicating to the audience that they're like to take a breath, right? And then this other editor is like responding to me, and instead of understanding that I'm saying like, no, this is a feature of my writing, and it has this purpose, it has these purposes, this person is like trying to throw like sort of grammar rules at me and try to be like, oh no, you don't understand. And it's like, no, I do understand. I do. And so I wrote an email where I was like, hey, you need to like not look for this issue. You need to like mentally be like, don't look for this issue in Neptune's writing because it's a feature of my writing. I do not approve you taking out the commas. I will not like change my mind on this. It's a feature of my writing. I already said no, and I gave you reasons so that you understand that this is an intentional choice that I've made. So, like, if this is an issue and you don't want to work with me because I'm not, like, being a team player, so be it, fair enough. But, like, when I'm saying no, I'm meaning that. Like, that's not. I don't understand why people are like, it's not absolutely correct. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be. It's writing. This is like an article for everyday people to read. It's not an academic dissertation. It doesn't have to be completely grammatically correct. Like, if anything, those kinds of rules are meant to be bent and broken for the purposes of artistic expression. Like, Dad, I'm very much influenced by poetry and lyrics and like performance, like using words in the real world. Poetry, lyrics, theater, this is like performing the written word in a way that is like far more engaging in a lot of ways than just reading it. I mean, think about how many people listen to audiobooks because it's more accessible, it's more engaging, it's something that you can have on while you're like cleaning the sink. Dad, did you ever listen to audiobooks? I mean, because there used to be books on tape, right? So I'm sure you probably like listened to a book on tape at some point, right? I forgot about that. I really forgot about that. Yeah, there used to be books on tape, and there were books on CD, and now they're audiobooks because of the internet and because of MP3s and stuff. MP3s, MP4s, MP3s. Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. Technology is amazing. But yeah, that's the thing. With this article thing, I was like, I just want to get to the bottom of this. Like, if we have a misunderstanding or a miscommunication, I just want to face it head on and be like, hey, I want to clarify my position on this because what I'm trying to communicate to these people is effectively like, don't check for this issue. But I also think like I should face that head on. I shouldn't kind of try to skirt around it or try and be a people pleaser because that's just going to make me resentful of these people and like hate them and like tell myself a story about who they are and what they intended and like what they think of me. But if I just face it head on, then I'm going to know what they think of me right away. If they see me as like not a team player or like some diva or whatever, then like I would rather be seen as a diva and not a team player like immediately than like be people pleasing a bunch and like grow resentment for the fact that they're taking out all these things, all these like commas or punctuation or whatever that I've purposely put in there, or they're like not like seeing it, they're not like getting it. You know what I mean? I would be more resentful about that, and that would just grow, and eventually I'd blow up. And like, that's worse. Wouldn't you agree, Dad? I remember you blowing up quite a lot. Thoughts? That's what I thought, so that's what I thought. Oh, I never finished the thing about birthdays. Okay, yes. So in primary school, I feel like there was more of a sense that I wanted to be normal and I wanted to be someone who had birthday parties like the other kids, and I invited the other kids, and they came to my parties, and they liked me. Now, I don't know if any of that was true or real, but also we were all so young that it's kind of like, whatever. And then I feel like in high school, it was a little bit more nuanced because I was kind of being bounced around from like group to group, kind of like I'd be part of a group for a little while, and then something would happen and everything would blow up, and I wouldn't know what was happening because I'm autistic. And like I mentioned, people don't want to face things head on. They don't want to actually resolve the problem. People want to say that the problem's resolved. They want to say that like they're okay with it. They want to say a bunch of stuff, but it's not actually resolving the problem unless there's like clear communication where we're genuinely saying exactly how we feel. There's not actually any confrontation of the problem. There's no confrontation. It's simply just like a bunch of people trying to like do a bunch of hints and then be like, okay, I feel a little bit better. And it's like, well, you could feel a lot better if you actually just spoke clearly and like directly. But what do I know, right? What do I know? But yeah, there'd just be a thing where I'd like be in a group for a while, something would happen, they'd kick me out, I wouldn't know what. I'd join another group, same thing would happen. So like I don't really think there was like the same group of people that came to my birthday party like each year in high school. There was always different people. And like looking back, I kind of can't really believe that people were my friends in a lot of ways because I think about the fact that like having you as a parent and also my mother meant that I didn't really know how to love people. I didn't know how to be loving and caring and generous and supportive and like kind. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't because my mother was like poisoning my brain and making me think that all relationships are transactional. That is to say, like, if I go to someone's birthday, then I have to invite them to my birthday, right? But then that also permeates out into like, oh, why would you loan your friend $5 or like $1.50 for the bus or whatever? You're never gonna get that money back. And it's like, it's $1.50. Are you okay? And so like just really like, why would you pay for your friend's popcorn at the cinema? It's very expensive. That's my money. Don't you care about how you're spending my money? Like just stuff that's like, what is wrong with you? Like, and also, I'm sure you're aware of this, Dad, but even though we kind of lived like an aesthetically middle class life, we were like month to month type people. We didn't really have any savings or anything. And even though we had like a property and like an investment plot of land and stuff, there wasn't really a sense of being able to like spend money on like going to the Pizza Hut or whatever and things like this. So there was this weird thing with my mother where she was like obsessed with acting like we were poor in so many settings in terms of like scarcity mindset, but then also being really like strange about what was important. Like it was important that she like got an investment property. Like that was really, really important. But like it's not important that I don't know, I go to the cinema. That's like a waste of money. And it's like, it was only once I started working and I had my own money that she was in any way okay with me like going to the cinema with a friend. She's like, why would you do that? Just come, like have them come over here and watch a movie at home. And it's like, well, because it's the experience of going to, and I'm a kid, so I don't know how to like debate with her, and I shouldn't have to know how to debate with her because it wasn't like we weren't actually poor. That's the crazy thing. We weren't actually poor. She just had a scarcity mindset, and she made me think that like doing anything, like wanting to buy a can of soft drink from the petrol station when we're on like a long drive is like an expense that is going to break the bank and mean that she can't pay the mortgage this week. And it's like, that's not what's going to break the bank. What's going to break the bank is you trying to get an investment property. What is wrong with you? Like, and it's so weird because all of that scarcity mindset just made me feel like I was constantly a burden to this woman. She just made me feel like, oh, I shouldn't need like new underwear or new socks. I shouldn't want to buy like a shirt or something nice to wear or whatever. And then also, if we were buying things, we had to buy them like at the DFOs, and then she would go on and on about how much money we saved, but actually we spent a bunch of money because we went to the DFOs and bought a bunch of stuff. But it's cheaper there. And it's just like, make it make sense. It's just the absolute like knots that she would tie her brain in to justify doing certain things, and then on the other hand, she'd be incredibly judgmental about other things. And it's just like, what are you talking about? Just what are you talking about? And so she would have her claws in my brain, and then I was like bouncing around between these different groups of friends, and obviously I wasn't going to tell her like that they just stopped talking to me or whatever, or that now they're bullying me or whatever is going on, because why would I ever share anything with that woman? Like, why? Absolutely not happening. And then after high school, there was a real sense that like everyone just kind of split off. Like I had a few close-ish friends, but like I mentioned, I didn't really know how to have friends because I wasn't really being taught how to like genuinely get to know people and engage with people and find common interests and like be supportive and caring and kind. I do think there was a part of me in like the people pleasing sense that was very much like, oh, someone needs someone to listen. Like I want to listen and I want to like, become like a therapist for this person and like try and be there for them. So I don't know. Maybe there was a sense that like I offered that from time to time when people like had a problem. Like I wanted to listen and I would often be like, do you think it might be this? And they'd be like, oh my God, I do think it's that. You're such a great listener. You're really. So maybe that's what I was good for and why they kept me around. But I feel like in a lot of ways, I just didn't really know how to like engage with people, how to do them favors. I didn't know like what the limits were and the boundaries were on stuff like that because my mother always made me feel like it had to be tit for tat. Like if I give someone a lift, they have to give me a lift. If I do give someone a lift and they can't give me a lift back, it's like they should pay me um petrol money or whatever. And if I should chase it up or whatever. It's just, and I like on some ways that's good. Like there is a limit of like how generous someone should be before they're like being taken advantage of. There is like parameters to these sorts of things. But I also think in terms of being like a teenager and trying to make friends, I think that all it really made me do is like keep people at arm's length in certain ways, in the sense of like, I would never offer to like pay for someone's red rooster, knowing that they would eventually pay me back, because my mother would like scold me anytime I would ever like pay for someone something, because that's a waste of money, and I have to make sure that they're going to pay me back, and like like there's just things like that, and when I look now at like my friendship that I have with Lucebiel and how it's like genuinely a friendship built on like a lot of like quality time spent together, a lot of like genuinely getting to know each other and genuinely listening to each other and being there for each other and doing each other favors and helping each other out, and like it's just something that like that kind of closeness can't be built on trying to keep a tally. It really can't, because there'll be times when I'm like, oh, am I asking too much of Lou? And they will be like, remember this time when you did this for me? And I've forgotten about it. I'm not doing something nice for them in order to like keep it in my little tally book for later. I just did it. I just showed up for them. And I just met them where they were at that time. And I didn't think anything of it, because like now I've actually been able to like untangle a lot of these things that she tried to teach me, that meant that I kept people like at an arm's length. And then the frustrating thing is like there are people that I need to keep at arm's length, because there are people that like something happens where they hurt my feelings and I try and bring it up to them and they don't really respond in a way that is like actually communicating to me that they're taking this on board. Like whether or not they're not responding in a way that's like communicating to me that like they've actually heard me. It's like their way of communicating is to like almost kind of debate in an effort to verbally process. And that makes me feel like they're dismissing what I'm saying. And that's just like a clashing of personalities, right? Like that's going to happen in any kind of case. But then the problem is like when stuff like that happens and I have thought that I knew that person or I have thought that we were friends, it's like really crushing to me because it makes me think like I am a bad judge of character. I don't really know how to read people. I am bad. I am naive. I am like too easily influenced. And like all this kind of stuff that, she would say to me and stuff like that. Did my mother ever manipulate you, Dad? I don't know. I mean, I remember you said some stuff during the breakup that was like pretty petty and shitty, and she said some stuff about you that was pretty petty and shitty, and like, I kind of think you were both like losers on both sides, to be honest. Like, neither of you are like the bigger person, neither of you are the more mature person in the bunch, but I also feel like my mother had a level of violence to her that was very insidious and like very implicit that is just like, I don't know. Did she ever like make you question your own thought processes and your own conclusions? Or was that just reserved for me, Dad? So fun. So fun. How did we get here? How did I get here? What was I talking about? I was talking about the birthday parties. Oh, yes, right, the birthday stuff. Right, sure, sure. So then after high school, it was pretty hard to have the birthday parties because it was like I only had a couple of people that I felt were friends of mine or that I was friendly with, and they were like off doing university elsewhere and stuff like that. So that was like a whole thing. Um, and then I started doing comedy and I started making friends there. And I don't really remember like throwing birthday parties at all since like my 18th birthday party, which I feel like was pretty easy to throw because I was still in high school and I had people that I saw every day. So it was kind of easy to be like, oh, I'm going to have a party on this day or whatever. So it was just like difficult. I don't remember really having a birthday party after high school because of the fragmentation, everyone moving different places, but also just like not really knowing how to maintain friendships. Like, on one hand, I kind of feel like we don't have to talk that much to maintain the friendship, but on the other hand, I feel like everyone was changing so much and so quickly that like when I would see them after a couple of months, I'd be like, "Whoa, you're like different," and I was like, maybe I don't know you anymore. It was just like a weird few years, and then I started doing comedy like pretty much immediately, but I didn't really make any friends there, as mentioned previously. Like, truly, comedians are either like the loveliest people that are incredibly hardworking, so they're busy all the time and don't have any time to really have those like high school level of friendships where it's like sleepovers and like hanging out at each other's houses all day and like seeing each other at school all the time, like just so much quality time. And I've realized since, years and years, I've realized that like I need like intense, long time together. I need like long periods of time with people, like spending a lot of time together to really feel comfortable with them. And I've realized there's a lot of people that don't feel that way. Like they genuinely feel like if they meet someone a couple of times that they're that person's friend. And that in some ways that's good and in some ways that's bad because there's some people that like to their friends they're kind of shitty, like in the sense of like, oh, that's my friend, so they don't mind if I'm late. Oh, that's my friend, they don't mind if I don't actually get back to them. Like just stuff that's like kind of rude, and it's like maybe a friend wouldn't care that much, but we're not friends yet. Like I've met you 2 times and we haven't even really talked. Like it's very like, oh, you think we're friends? Name 5 of my traumas. Name them, Dad. Name my trauma right now. Oh, you're a fan? Name my albums. Like, it's very that. Actually, honestly, yeah, you're a fan. Name my shows. Name my 6 solo comedy shows, my 3 solo theater shows, and my 1 2 hand play right now. Name my 3 novellas. Name my collection of flash fiction. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's not about that. It's not about being like knowing all of this stuff that you could read on my website. But it's that thing of like, I think there are people that they get attached a little too soon, and that I don't like that because when I'm like out and about, generally speaking, I'm in good spirits, I'm in a good headspace, but I'm a very mentally ill person. So it's like the idea that someone thinks they know me because they've seen me in a few really positive lights in times when I've felt well enough to be perceived by other people. And it's like, you haven't seen any of my darkness. You don't know any of my like deep concerns and traumas and like the things that I, carry around with me and the people that I've died that I carry around with me. And it's just like, I don't want to tell you all that stuff right away necessarily, but like maybe it would come out organically. But also I don't sit there and go like, this is a new person. This is everything I have to tell them. But it is kind of like, we need to like gradually spend time together so that I feel comfortable enough to share things, and to also I also feel like there's enough space to get to know the other person too. Obviously it's not all about me and like getting to know me, but there is a real sense that like when people want to claim me as their friend and they haven't done any of the work to like earn that badge, it feels really weird. It's like, how are you my friend? You've never like done me a favor. I don't know anything about you. Do you know anything about me? How are we friends? Like, I just think that that's like a recipe for disaster because, what would someone consider like appropriate friend behavior? It's just, there's just like a lot of stuff in there that I don't like. And so I would rather people think that I'm like mean and standoffish and like, oh, Neptune doesn't want to call anyone their friend. Like, I would rather people talk about me like that than that I exist in a space where people think that I am closer to them than I am, or that we're like we have a better relationship than we do. And like, I just don't like that. I don't like that kind of stuff. And again, this is me being like, I'm going to confront this head on. And it's like, if you don't want to confront it head on, that's fine. But like, I really think that you should. Dad, have you literally ever confronted anything head on? I really don't think you have. I'm thinking about the fact that my mother instigated the breakup. Yeah? She instigated that. And you two were not happy. You fought all the time. You were very emotionally distant from each other. You like never like hung out, sat together, anything like that. Like there was no closeness at all. And she was just like, one day she was like, all right, time to call a family meeting and break up with your ass, right? You were there. You remember. You remember it, Dad? I remember it for sure. Because she took the phone off the hook so that no one would call us. And then I had this like school friend, kind of, who I think was only friends with me because I think her family was like more neglectful in a way that was more outwardly noticeable. Like they didn't like cook her meals and stuff. So she would like come over all the time because there was like food at my house. Which, you know what I mean? You gotta do what you gotta do. Like, I don't know how to. That was whatever. But the point of the matter is that then we're having this meeting, and then all of a sudden there's like a knock at the door, and it's this person that used to like come over and like stay all the time and stuff. And and she was like always kind of inviting herself over, and I didn't have any friends. So I was like, this is great. I think I have a friend now. What are you going to do? But she like showed up because she tried to call and no one was answering the phone. Was engaged because it was off the hook. Those were the good old days, Dad. Oh my goodness. Remember when you could take the phone off the hook and no one could call you? Those were the fucking days. These days, people can get through all the time. Do you know about that? Actually, did you ever have a smartphone, Dad? I wonder if you ever like, I know you upgraded at some point. I remember you kind of had like almost like a BlackBerry type thing for a while, like something where there was like a little pad and there was a little screen. So maybe it was a BlackBerry, I don't know. But like, yeah, I don't um but yeah, I'm curious, did you ever upgrade to like a smartphone? Because I'm literally filming this on a smartphone, Dad. This is a phone that I'm using to film the podcast. And it's like, that's amazing. It can like film things in like 1080p. It can go higher, but it just like takes up too much space on the hard drive for like a 1 hour video to be at 4K. It's like, wild. Thoughts? Ugh, yeah. Wow. Wow. I don't really know if we ever really got to the bottom of like the birthday stuff. Oh, okay. So to summarize, in primary school, I wanted to have birthday parties so I could be like the other kids. In high school, sort of similar thing, but like it was always a different group of people. And it was only ever like 5 people maybe, because I was sort of bouncing around different groups. And then after high school, it was kind of no parties because I didn't really have anyone that was around, generally speaking. And then there was like 4 years there where I was in Edinburgh, so I would just kind of be like, hey, if you would come to my show for my birthday, that'd be cool. And then I came back to Australia, and my birthday became like a bit of a self-care day where I would like take the day off. I would like order food, just take it easy, relax, do something I wanted to do, just like rest day kind of thing. And then now we're kind of like back to the gig thing because I'm going to do a gig on my birthday. So I'm like out of the house doing something. Um, I don't generally find that I like get super down on my birthday. Some people kind of do, but I find that generally I kind of see it as like just another day, which is, I think that's like an autism thing. It's just kind of hard for me to understand how like certain days are special. Like sometimes I get frustrated because things aren't open every day, and it's like, but I need something, and it's like I need it now, and like right now is when I have enough energy to like go and do it. Like right now, I like have the momentum to go and like run that errand, but it's like 8:30 and the Aldi closes at 8, so I either have to go to the Coles, which is way more expensive to like get the bread or whatever, or I have to wait until tomorrow and hope I have the energy tomorrow. So I feel like that about birthdays sometimes, where it's like there's been some years where I'm just like, I'm just busy. Like, I don't want to have to carve out time to like do a thing for like an arbitrary passing of moments. And then also, like, during lockdown and stuff, I was like, I don't want to do any kind of party. Like, are you kidding me? I don't want to do any kind of party. I'm going to get COVID and die. No parties for me. So it's been like a real up and down time. But I feel like right now I'm just in a time and space where I want to like have some kind of plan, and a gig is a good plan. And I'm also going to see my friend Lou Sabiel. Like I'm gonna be around someone that I love and care about. Um, and I'll see the cat as well. Very exciting. Going to see Frank. Oh my god, it's not even her birthday, and I'm going to see her. So exciting. And and so I think that that's good. Like I think I've got to a point with birthdays where I'm just like, I don't have to do what the other kids do to like fit in. I don't have to fit in really. And like I also don't have to be on my own if I don't want to be. Like that's also an option. If I want to be on my own, that's also okay. Like nothing wrong with wanting to like take it easy on my birthday. I do think that the taking it easy on my birthday years were really part of me being like, it's hard to have a day off. Like very, very like capitalist must be productive brain of like no days off sort of thing. So it was me trying to shift to like, let's like get certain days, like purposely take those days off. And I think also working like service industry stuff, performance, which is service industry, sex work, very much service industry. It's like those are jobs where it's like working on like Christmas, New Year's Eve, working over Easter. Like these are times when it's like busy, it's good pay, time and a half, all that kind of stuff. So it's like worth it to work those kinds of days. And so then it's like, yeah, I don't really want to like do like these tradition things. They're not important to me. So my tradition is like taking care of myself when and where I can. And so like the fact that I was like, I have to take care of myself on my birthday, and I would carve out other days. Like I would have like weekly days off. It's not like I would never take a day off, but I just think like it was something that was really me like rewiring my brain and my like patterns in the world to slowing down, because definitely like with my autism diagnosis, it was really me being like, oh, I've like been disconnected from my body and my needs and my like just who I am as a person and who I am as like a specimen, a being in this world. Like I've just been really disconnected from myself in an attempt to like fit in and be liked by people, and not be like detected as the weird one. And that sort of lent me to like a complete disconnection from myself. And so like I think that was like part of a trying to like shift back thing, where I was like, if I have the choice of what I get to do, I want to rest, because I've been running for so long and I didn't even realize that I could like get off the treadmill. I just thought this was life. Kind of a great metaphor. That's kind of bars. Damn.
That's kind of.
That was like right off the top of my head. That was, what do you think, Dad? Pretty good, right? Yeah, I think so. I reckon for sure. That might be a good place to end, actually. Oh, I should show you my haircut, Dad. I did a haircut for myself. I love it. It's very like Friar Tuck vibes. It's kind of like 16th century altar boy. Love it. Did it myself. Had 2 mirrors and the clippers. You know, I hate haircuts. Dad, do you like haircuts? I mean, you did have an afro. I feel like that's a little bit of a middle finger to haircuts in a way. But it's also the kind of haircut that like you can maintain it yourself. So, was that like another autism thing, Dad? I reckon it is. New diagnostic tool just dropped. Do you like haircuts or not? I hate haircuts. It's not even like a sensory thing. It's like why would I like take time out of my day to try and like find a haircut place, a hair salon, that's what they're called, or a barber or whatever. And also like now in terms of like gender stuff, non-binary, etc., it's just like I don't really want to go to like a salon, but I also don't want to go to a barber's. And I know there's like queer, hairdresser places and stuff, but I don't care enough. Like I just don't care. At the end of the day, like if there's no other option, I'll just buzz my head. I've done it before and I looked fucking sick. And I think I'd look even better now. But I am in a play in a couple of months, so I didn't want to cut off all my hair in case they wanted it like a little bit longer for the play. And then after the play, maybe I'll buzz it. Hell yeah. What do you think, Dad? Don't care. Alrighty, so we're gonna wrap this up. But look, we'll end as we always do with a happy memory. This one, I did take a second to try and remember one, but I've got one. Okay, skill issue. Dad, should have been more happy memories. Yikes. But this is in the Oberon house again. I feel like all these are going to be in the Oberon house. But I'm like 10, maybe. So this is like just before the breakup. Ooh. And I'm in the main living room, which was like a sunken living room. So most of the house was on one level. And then this living room was down like a small flight of stairs, maybe like 7 stairs. It was a little tiny flight. And then there was like this big living room with like this old gas heater. It was the 90s. And it was like this exposed brick on the wall of the living room and this huge big window. And it was on the same side of the house as yours and Mum's room. So this window again would face the garden and then further over face this like farm basically. Because like we lived on a street, but like it was basically the outskirts of town essentially. We were like right on the outskirts. Small town, like 1,000 people, no traffic lights, tiny town. So yeah, we were basically facing this, just all this greenery and shrubs and colors, and it was just always vibrant and lovely. And like in the winter it would snow, and it was a nice house and a nice upbringing in a lot of ways. Despite everything, there was a lot of good stuff. As it often is. So I'm in this sunken living room. We've got the same wooden blinds that are on yours and Mum's bedroom. And so they're open and they're horizontal blinds. I remember I didn't say that last time, but they're these horizontal wooden blinds. And they also had this like piney smell, which was really nice. And that room had that like exposed brick wall. And I feel like brick walls have a certain scent as well. I can't really put my finger on it, but it's like it's kind of earthy, but it also feels like industrial, which I guess is the smell of bricks. I'm not totally sure. So there's like a faint kind of smell of like pine and brick. And I'm sitting on this cream carpet and I've got out the Monopoly board because you said we were going to play. And so I'm waiting. And I'm a kid. So I'm probably waiting like 5 minutes, but to me it feels like an eternity because I'm 10. And so I just start calling out to you. I'm like, Dad, where are you? You said we could play Monopoly. Like just yelling, just calling out to you. And turns out you were on the toilet. So you call back to me because you can hear me because I'm yelling. You call back to me. I'm on the toilet. I'll be there soon. And then for some reason, my mother comes out of somewhere and she's like, why are you yelling at your father? And I'm like, What do you mean? He said he was going to play Monopoly. And I'm like, I don't understand why she's so upset. And she's like, don't yell at him. He's on the toilet. No one wants to hear about that. Like, just her usual, like, there's always a problem. There's always an issue. I'm always doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. Someone's doing something wrong. Something's wrong. Anyway, so she goes off and does something else, and I'm waiting for you, and I'm feeling like a little bit disheartened because like she's kind of come in and like had a go at me about literally just being a kid and excited to play Monopoly and like wondering where you are, and obviously I'm being too loud as I always am. And then you know round the corner and I see you and you're coming down the stairs and you got this big smile on your face and you're kind of like, see, here I am, no need to yell, but like you're doing it in like a jovial way, like you're clearly laughing and you're smiling and you think it's kind of endearing, I guess. um and I'm just like I'm just like, but I wanted to play. And then you said something along the lines of like, you know, oh, what I'm supposed to do, just like pinch it off. And I'm like, ew, dad, why would you talk about poo? That's so gross. And just in that like kid way of like, you know, we're kind of having a bit of a, it's not an argument or anything. It's not the same as how my mother was talking to me. Like you and I are clearly joking and like having a good time. And then we play Monopoly, and I don't really remember who won or even if we finished the game, but I do remember just like sitting on the floor in that sunken lounge room, cream carpet, wooden blinds, that brick wall. There was like that gas heater. I don't think it was on though. I think it was like a warmer day, or maybe it was on. And we're just there playing Monopoly on the floor. And we're just, you know, laughing, joking, like poking each other a little bit, but like playfully. I don't know, Dad. I just like didn't really have any friends, and it would have been nice for us to spend more time together and maybe be friends and stuff. Have more memories like that. That's what I'm sad about in terms of you being dead, is just like I kind of wish things could have gone different. But I think in order for them to have gone different, I think you would have needed to be different and I would have needed to be different. But like we are ourselves and things went the way they were. But you know, we played Monopoly and we like joked about poop, so what are you gonna do? But I guess that's it for another episode. So bye, Dad. It's Neptune. And Daisy says bye too, even though I squished her.